Yo, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. We haven't done one of these in a minute. It's been a long time. But weekend actions, some good performances, some unfortunate performances, and honestly, let me just start with the United West Ham game because if if United losing that game really meant like Ten Hag losing his job today, then I definitely would have been rooting for them because it's just typical Man United, bro. You wait till everybody gets their turn, and then when you have to play us this weekend, you decide to let the guy go. And all banter aside, I think it's a really it's an important move. United are 14th in the league, guys. They are 14th. They're behind West Ham United, Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford, and Nottingham Forest, just to name a few. That's not good. And watching United now, this does remind me of last season. And then to a greater extent, I think Frank Lampard, when he came back, I think the second time that season was awful. And then when I watch United now, it just reminds me of that. But that result meant, that they did let go of Eric Ten Hag. And if you don't know, well, now you know. I don't know where you've been all day. If you've been hiding, under a rock, well, you're about to get the briefing. But he's been fired. Um, this it was a long time coming. It really was because how the hell did this guy survive this long? I mean, results aside, just watching the football is just boring. Ten Hag's football is terrible to watch. It's really dreadful. And the question then comes down to like, do United really have that bad of a team? Or it's more of like a manager situation? And in my case, to be honest, I think it might be a bit of both. But I think this team still has enough quality not to be 14th. There's no reason Man United should be 14th in the league. Like the squad itself, the way it's been built, you can pick a few, good options in that team. You could pick a few decent players. You could pick a few big names. You could pick a few people that you expect, to see a better performance from. But I just don't think it's good enough. And, you know, sooner rather than later, they've made the decision to let this guy go. Um, but then what does that mean for United? Where does that leave them? I think it cannot get any worse than this. It really cannot get any worse than this for United fans. If the only way up is up, to be honest, give it to Rue till you decide you're going to get another manager in, and allegedly they've already been looking at what's his name, Ruben Amorim, to be the United coach. It's We'll see how that goes. Honestly, like you look at his his style of play and just his coaching. I think he's one of the guys that we were looking at this season before we got Maresca in. So you could tell this guy's he's a good enough coach. You look at Sporting this season, they're top of the league, 9 games, 9 wins. They've scored about like 30 something goals, conceded only two. Um, just some incredible numbers. But then the question is, why would you leave Sporting Lisbon when you're firing and you're flying right now to go to Man United? Which just tells you, as bad as Man United are, as terrible as they can be, United remain one of the biggest teams in England, one of the biggest teams in the world. And when there's ever an opportunity for any manager to go into that dugout, they're going to take it. Like, yeah, United right now ain't the best. They're the worst team in Manchester. They're one of the worst teams in the Premier League. Their players don't look adequate enough. Everything just looks wrong. But United they're always going to be one of the biggest teams in England, one of the biggest teams in the world. And you're always going to see coaches lining up for that job. Now, would it be the coaches people are expecting? Maybe not. It wouldn't be the, Hansi Flicks. I think Tuchel rejected Man United. It's not going to be the Pep Guardiolas. It's not going to be Carlo Ancelotti. They're not bringing Jose Mourinho back. It's not going to be Diego Simeone. But you look at how the football is going right now. It's all about the upcoming managers and the guys who can fit into some sort of a system, a culture, build something new, develop something sustainable. So you look at teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. Liverpool went with a much less appreciated name, if you want to call it, an Arne Sloth. And what has happened? He's won how many games now this season? Second in the league, barely lost a game, actually. They've won all their games. Well, actually, they did lose to Forest. I lied. They lost to Forest. They drew to Arsenal. But other than that, Liverpool have been flying really high. And, you look at Man City this season and they don't look like they're firing on all cylinders, but somehow they've made it to the top of the Premier League. So United might have to kind of go down that route where it's you know, not a big name, because even with Amorim, like he still has some sort of clout in Europe. So it's not going to be like a Maresca, or um, McKenna. It wouldn't be one of those, Deserby. It wouldn't be one of those hires. It would be someone that has been really touted, highly rated in Europe, and they're going to get him in. Um, so I think in United's situation, it's really unfortunate they didn't wait to play us before, they decided to let this guy go. Which now, look, I think either way, we should be going to United next weekend. We should be going to Old Trafford next weekend and getting a result. We have a terrible record when it comes to playing against United away from home, but records are meant to be broken, and this should be the season where we go over there and we handle business. Like it's been long enough where we haven't beaten United. And you look at the both teams right now, you look at how, both teams are set up and how we're both playing. I think we are in a much better place than Man United are. If we're going to be completely honest, we're playing better football. Better position in the team, and right now it looks like we have the better manager, we have the better players in general. So I think regardless of that, you go to Old Trafford this weekend and you win. The worst should be a result. I mean, a draw. But even drawing to United right now would feel like a loss because it's just so much difference in just the atmosphere, like the positivity when you look at in the fan base as United fans. I mean, today they're all united, they're all celebrating because you know uh Ten Hag is gone. But in general, it's like we should go there and win. We need to break that record and do what we need to do. But this weekend, other games happened, other games went on. Um, the big one, let me just start with the Saturday games, and then we'll bring it down to the big games, and then we'll close it out. Again, we know Friday, Forest beat Leicester 3-1, and Forest are becoming that team for me where it's like they might be, that non-traditional top six team to have a good season. Seasons past, we've had Brighton, we've had Leicester, we've had what Newcastle to a greater extent, Aston Villa now. But I think Forest, they're creating something that is very difficult to play against. Like they lost, they've lost a few games this season to Fulham. Like one of those games where I was not expecting them to win, but then they played Chelsea. They took a point, played Liverpool, took all three. Now they're going away, they're grinding results, and they look like they have a nice balance in that team. You look at their wingers, Hudson Odoi, Elanga, Chris Wood is finding himself on the score sheet. Anderson from midfield is being cooking. Murillo, that defender, who is going to be on a lot of teams' radar because defensively he looks very capable. And then he, again, when you look at defenders who can play out from the back and whatever, the modern football is going to. Murillo looks like he'll be a good fit for a lot of these teams, and he's got the age on him. He's a young defender as well. But all in all, I think Forest have been really impressive this season. And I think I got to look back at my predictions where I put them this season, but I think they're going to surprise us. They're going to do a lot better than anticipated. One of the shock results for me this weekend was Aston Villa Bournemouth. You throw in the fact that Villa are playing at home. Bournemouth came to visit. I thought this was going to be a straightforward, 3-1 type of game. Villa get the win, but nah, they fumbled it at the end. They drew the game, and it's really 2 points lost for Villa. In the Premier League, it's like you're going to get these games where you're going to be dominant, but guess what? If you don't take your chances, you're going to be punished, and that's exactly what Bournemouth did to Aston Villa. Got the 1-1 result, and that leaves Villa still in the top four. Unfortunately for us, Villa is still fourth. They're up, they're ahead of us by a point, which by the time, the games kick off this weekend, depending on our result against Man U, we could be going, above Villa. You still have Brighton, who again, Brighton are also they're up there, in the top seven. You got Brighton, you got Forest, you got Spurs, eighth. But these two teams have been picking up some impressive results as well. And it's all about the results, Forget about the name. If you're picking up results, whether you're Brighton, you're a Forest, you're gonna just keep shooting up the table. So very, very impressive from these teams. But I'm glad Bournemouth were able to get something from that game. Brentford won against Ipswich 4-3. I was able to just watch the highlights. Very tough on Ipswich to lose that game to that Brian and Buemo cross. I mean, that goalkeeper should have really done a lot better with that cross, but he did it. But I'm sure for the people who watched that game, it was probably like a cracking game. My prediction for this game, I believe, was like a 2-1. Was a 2-1 Ipswich loss. I predicted Bournemouth to win this 2-1. I think the Villa game I went, was it 3-1 to Villa? They drew. So my prediction again over there was wrong. The next game I predicted was Brighton and Wolves. I predicted this game. I think I predicted Brighton to win 3-1 as well. Game ended 2-2, and this game just had everything in it. Like to go from almost going 3-1 up to tying that game 2-2 in the last minute was just peak Premier League, football. That's just what the Premier League gives you. It gives you this inconsistent, results. It gives you these shock results. It gives you these weird results. It gives you pure entertainment. And this game really was that. Brighton had the chance to really kill this game. And, to go two up with it with like what 8 minutes to go, and you draw this game 2-2 and having the opportunity to even go 3-1. Yeah, I know I'll be sick if I was a Brighton fan. But Wolves came back. They stayed in there for long enough. They got a point out of this, and then they keep it moving. Man City, Southampton, they win 1-0. And City have not been, free flowing. They've not been there at their scintillating best. But when you have someone like an Erling Haaland in your team, you pick up these 3 points when sometimes you don't even potentially deserve them. You know, I predicted this game to be like a 5-0 to Man City, I believe. And Southampton, it looks like they dug in there deep. They stayed compact enough to only lose 1-0 to City. And the fact that it conceded that goal, early in the game within the fifth minute. But again, City didn't add on to that tally, and they narrowly won. Hey, look, that's just how the Premier League is. Big teams, small teams, doesn't matter if it's a Southampton. They will dig deep long enough to get a point. City are just lucky they have again one of the greatest goal scorers in the Premier League we've ever seen in Holland. And this guy's job is pretty simple: score goals. He does not care about anything else. All the other assets and facets of the game. I don't think he really could give a rat's ass. Like Holland's link up play is really subpar. His passing could be very sketchy and it's very inconsistent, but his movement and his finishing, A1. And that's all that matters. You score goals. You score goals, you win games, you win trophies, you win points. As simple as that, bro. So, in as much as we could appreciate other strikers, like a Jackson, for example, prime example. Um, maybe like a Son to a different extent. Son is more of a winger, striker, however you want to play it. But someone like a Holland who wouldn't really involve himself too much in build-up play. The guy is just clinical, and that's just all City need. Fulham won, Everton won. I think I went 2-1 Everton on my predictions as well. They tied the game, which honestly means Everton have been on a good, like a decent streak. Like they're not losing games. Everton last season probably would have lost this game, but it looks like they found some sort of, defensive acumen, if you want to call it. It seems like they're becoming hard to beat again. They're becoming that Everton that a lot of teams dreaded going to Goodison Park to play because they always turned up against big teams. Like Everton could go lose to Ipswich 3-1, show up against Liverpool, and then, again, maybe not Liverpool because Liverpool's actually been dog walking Everton for a bit, but they'll show up against a big team and, try to get a result. So 1-1 in that game. Spoils are shared. And then Chelsea, Newcastle, really good game. I thought this game was excellent. We were on it from start to finish. Maybe bar the ending of that game where it was a bit nervous because we were shook. We were scared, to be honest with you. Like, I think for us, that game was just getting to the end of that game, you could tell like, yo, this is not going, it's not going our way for the most part. And Reece James, starting that game as a left back, um, and then just putting in that performance was just amazing. Like I saw the starting 11, and I figured Gusto was going to be left back, James right back, standard. Neto playing instead of Sancho also kind of raised eyebrows a bit. But when you have a manager and you have a team who have just been somewhat consistent, this team building performances, picking up results, we're always going to concede. I believe that's just what we realize, and we've come to agree to that this season we're just going to concede a lot of goals. It's not going to be um it's not going to be like it's not going to be smooth sailing and flawless. We're going to concede goals for sure. That's just, unfortunately, that's just what it's going to be this season. But 2-1 Newcastle, they created a few chances. Arguably, we should have scored a bit more. Um, but I'll say solid performance. This season at home, we've drawn both home games. We've played against Palace, against Forest as well. So it was important to pick up 3 points against Newcastle, and we did that. We moved back up to what, fifth position. And like I said, midweek we play Newcastle again, and then we play United over the weekend. So long may this form continue. Palace, Tottenham, another game I predicted Spurs to win. I went 2-1 Spurs because, again, I just felt like Spurs will have enough to beat Palace. Palace have not really been, they've not been convincing enough. Um, and you look at their form from last season where it looked like you gave Glasner a few more months to go, and they probably would have been a problem. But when you lose Olise, you're losing 50 to 60% of your goal output. You're losing a lot more of the intangibles, like, forget about the goals, assists, the chances created, and, the pass before the pass. It's just that the pre-assist, the overall, gameplay and how dangerous you could be. You lose that when you lose someone like an Olise. So I went in saying, Palace will probably win this 2-1. I mean, Spurs will win this 2-1. Nah, they win, lost to Palace. Mateta with the goal. And it's just this season, Spurs have not been looking great, which will bode well for us rival fans, because I don't rate that team, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't rate Spurs' team. I don't think their team is good enough. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think the team is good enough. I don't think they're strong enough. So I think it's justifiable that they're going to have these kind of performances and these results because they got Solanke in, and he's barely scoring any goals. Like Solanke's actually looked worse than he played when he was at Bournemouth, which just typifies and shows you that it's not always going to be smooth sailing and easy because when you move to a team like Spurs and you come from, like when you played at Bournemouth, you were the star player, you were the key player, you were the talisman, you were that striker. So everything was just being spoon fed to you. When you move to Spurs, Son got to get his goals. Madison got to get his touches. Madison might shoot when instead of passing you, the ball because he feels like he trusts his ability. And it's all these little things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily think about because when you look at Bournemouth, they know pass the ball to Solanke and let him see if he can even get us a go. When you do that enough, you get confidence. Your game is a bit more confident than now. Now you might be playing a bit in your shell because it's like you're not going to make certain runs because you're not going to get the ball. You're not going to pass the ball because you're not going to get it back. It's just it could be a lot of things that will play on your mind as a striker. And he's been very disappointed. And even when that signing went through, you could just tell this was going to be one of the flops of the season already. I always said I don't rate Solanke in this first team. Um, if he can replicate those numbers again for Bournemouth for Spurs, then maybe. But he didn't do it. So we'll see how Spurs get along. The game that finally put the coffin in Ten Hag's that put the nail in Ten Hag's coffin was West Ham 2 United 1. And now that I'm thinking about it, I wish United won this game. That's just me being shameless as a rival. I really wish Man United won this game because now that they've lost to West Ham, they've decided to make the change. Maybe if they won this game or even drew, that decision is delayed for another week. Like how you wait, like I've said, how do you wait? Spurs come home to your crib, they slap you up. Everybody comes to your crib, they slap you up. And then the weekend where we could finally come change our fortunes, potentially get a dub, you fire Ten Hag. Like, Ineos, I'm looking at you. You're on fraud watch. I know your own fans are looking at you, but like shit, we're looking at you right now too. Because you really could have waited. You could have sacked them the previous international break. So you would have given us enough time to figure out this new manager. You could have sacked them the first international break. Hell, you could fire them when the season started. But nah, you want to wait till we're probably gonna come into town and you can't even troll them no more because of this loss, it's become a good thing. It's become the silver lining right now for them. Like this is the light at the end of that tunnel. And unfortunately, West Ham winning was able to do that for them and do that to us, which is really not nice. But you know what? With or without Ten Hag, with Amarin or whoever it's going to be, look, we gotta just go there, do our thing. If we win that game, amazing, great. If not, then we don't deserve to beat Man United, and that's just the reality. But it's just I watched the replay of that game and they missed chance after chance after chance. Like Delo, that missed chance should really result in like docked wages. I'm sorry. Like I think there's got to be certain consequences sometimes when professional athletes make certain basic errors. Like, bro, you get paid so much money. How are you not hitting the target from that area? What's his name? Garnashus. Trash, bro. Like yeah, you know what, Ed, I'm not even gonna get into it, but we'll see what United's response is during the week. I know they're definitely gonna have that manager bounce, which again could really play into their hands this weekend. That manager bounce could be a problem. Like if Rude is managing United this weekend, that crowd is gonna try to get behind him. And that, the crowd supporting you being that 12th man, it really could just galvanize your team. So this weekend will be very interesting. But we ended the weekend, Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2. I'll say fair result, because before this game, we suspected Saka might not be available, Timber might not be available, and of course, Mikel Arteta starts them two, and Saka puts in a performance. That first goal, I mean, no goalkeeper saving that. I heard someone said Allison might save that. I'm going, what? Allison ain't saving that. Allison and Kelleher are not saving that effort. That shit was top corner, roof of the net. Like no goalkeeper saving that, and I think when Arsenal went 2-1 up, you're expecting them to shut up shop. You expected Arsenal to do exactly what they did to Man City a couple of weeks ago. Just the most disgusting low block you'd ever see. Everything is being parried away. No space to penetrate. No space to be creative. But they left themselves exposed. Again, that Gabriel went off injured, so you can't really say Arsenal didn't try. When you don't have your two center back pairing, and as important as they have been for Arsenal, then I think you're going to struggle against Liverpool. And they paid the price. Salah made it 2-all. Now, there's been a lot of like talk about that whole Kai Havertz, that whole situation before Jesus scored that goal. And the more you watch the replays back, one, you see there was a foul on Sabozlai when who was it? Was it Kivior jumped into him? That's a foul, by the way. And then when Havertz controlled that game, I mean that ball, that was handball. Like it was high sleeve, shoulder level. So that's still a handball, regardless. Now, if it hits anywhere, I believe if it hits anywhere around here, you're good. Anywhere from here down, I think they're gonna give it as a handball, and the ref called it. And then there was another foul, I think, in the build up to that as well, when Havertz kind of clattered into Trent when Trent cleared that ball off the line. So it's too many things to give that as a go. Because the more you watch the replay and you're like, okay, like in real time, you might not even know what happened. Because in real time, I thought it was a go. But you watch the replay, you see the angles, and you're like, okay, that's why this was not given as a go. That's why this was given as a foul. So that was the weekend's roundup. You look in the table again. Man City. Let me share the table real quick. Man City comfortably up in the table. And there we go. Man City first, got 23 points. Liverpool second, 22 points. Arsenal third, got 18. Villa fourth, got 18. Chelsea fifth, we got 17. Brighton sixth, they got 16. Forest seventh, they got 16. And Spurs, they got 13, they're eighth. So it's just that's what I'm saying. Like you look at how tight all of these are. Like you look at the goals done, the goals for all these teams are just a few points away from each other. From like first to essentially fifth is what? About 5 points difference. That's a game and a half. That's it. That's two games, one win, one draw, whatever. And then someone is catching up to you. Now, I'm not saying we're going to challenge for the league. We're not doing that. None of that. I don't think we have the capacity, especially when you have someone like a Sanchez in goal. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. We ain't going to be there. But it still shows that, with such a young team, especially our young team, new manager in, couple months in, what, 2, 3 months, nine games into the season, maybe about like what, another five in other comps. So about 15 games into the season, you're seeing the team take up shape. You're seeing the patterns. You're seeing how the coach wants these guys to play. We're starting to see who deserves to be in the first team, who doesn't deserve to be in the first team, and it's all shaping up really nicely. I expect this. My prediction is still top four. And this is how I when I predicted the start of the season, I said Man City are going to win the league, Arsenal are going to be second, Liverpool third, we're going to be fourth. I believe I said Villa fifth. Um, and so far, like I'm looking like I might be bang on the money, but it's still very early days, and we'll see how that goes. But moving on, I really want to just touch on our start to the season. 9 games into this season, we're fifth, 17 points, and I just want to talk about what I've learned so far in terms of just Maresca and his ability to just show us and teach us something different. Even in the conference league games, you've seen him tweak the system a bit. He's got people playing in roles that we necessarily don't agree with. You know, Gusto and Verdon. As Chelsea fans, we know that role is hard to do, and Gusto doesn't necessarily play that role to the best of what we want to see. I think Cucurella plays that role a lot better. Even Vega, to an extent, plays that role better. But I think so far, I've learned so far from Maresca is that this guy is going to be he's going to be innovative. He's going to be brave. He's going to be very flexible. One of the things we heard about Maresca coming in before we signed him was he doesn't make any changes. This guy is rigid in his system. He doesn't veer too much from his system. And he's just not good enough. Well, you know, one thing I'll say to that is when you compare Leicester City squad to this Chelsea squad that, you know, money has been spent to, you know, just put together. You look at this team from goalkeeper to, you know, to the forward line. Like you look at the starting 11 that started against Newcastle. Sanchez, we're just going to park aside because long term, this guy's not good enough. But Gusto, Fafana, Colwell, Reece James, Lavia Caicedo, Neto, Palmer, you know, Madueke, and Nicholas Jackson. Even you look at this bench, all these guys have just been at this club for like the last 2 years. Like the last 2 years. Everyone in this team is brand new, right? So you have someone like a Maresca come in, and I've been very impressed. Yes, of course. As fans, we're always going to nitpick on certain little things. We're going to be like, well, I wish he did this. I wish he did that. But it's has he improved the team and has he made us look better? Like from where Pochettino left us to now, have we been able to see a difference? I could have sworn last season by this time, 9 games in, we were still rattling, you know, we're still around 12th, 13th, 11th. Um, Performances weren't good, results weren't any better. But you fast forward a couple months, we're fifth. We're trying to do, you know, things different. We're playing a different way. And as a Chelsea fan, I'm very happy. I think Maresca is definitely using this team to the maximum. I think he's using this team to the best of his abilities, to be quite honest with you. Because what else can you do? You got one game a week. When you play midweek, we already know these are the guys who are going to be playing midweek. We can already predict what the starting lineup is going to be midweek. And that just shows you're a coach with a clear plan. When we do our predicted lineups for, you know, Premier League games, you can already guess at least 9 out of, you know, the 11 people that are probably going to play. If 9 is too high, you can guess at least 6 out of the 11 that's going to be in that starting lineup. And that's the consistency we've been asking for a very long time. Now you throw in the fact that our medical team looks like they're actually, you know, they're earning their money. I don't know what they're doing different, but it's working. Um, we have players fit every other week. We have players available. Hell, we have players that are not even picked for the match their squads because not everybody can be taken. And it's just little things like that, keeping people motivated, keeping people fresh. You look at your very injury prone players. Pedro Neto, Christopher Nkunku, Alavia, Reece James to a greater extent, even a Malo Gusto because he's been picking up niggles here and there. And it's just the management, you know, the minutes, keeping these guys fresh, keeping them engaged, keeping them, you know, buying into whatever you're trying to do. That for me just, you know, screams like a coach that is worth his salt. We're going to face adversities at the end of the day. It's not going to be smooth sailing right now. We're going to go through difficult periods where it feels like we cannot catch a break. And I think that's when it's really going to unfold. and we're going to see what kind of a manager we have and what kind of a manager we need. Because so far, he's been on it. So far he speaks the right way, says the right things. It's not shy to express himself, not shy to tell people, Chile's not my squad. Sterling ain't gonna get minutes. Mudrick is Mudrick. James needs to be a better representation of the club. I need to see more. Cole needs to step it up. Enzo needs to step it up. Jackson needs to step it up. It's refreshing. Just say it as it is, And thing is, people who watch and support this team go to games. They're not stupid. They see all these things, right? So when you're hitting the nail on the head every time and you're being bang on the money, people appreciate that because it's like you want a coach to just keep you in the loop and just keep things a buck and just say it how it is. If Chilwell ain't in this team, if it doesn't fit this, the system, he's not going to be here, and it's just the reality. But 9 games in, like I've said in the Premier League, about 15 in total with a conference league and whatnot. I think I've been very impressed just how the fundamentals, when you make about 11 changes to this team, your Badiashiles, your Desasis, your Vegas come in, your Dewsbury Halls, Enzo Team B, and they still keep the same principles. Now, a lot of us, I'm pretty sure we were all crying for Deserby because, again, we've seen Deserby with Brighton and we know the kind of football he can play. Like, Deserby was a very good tactician and it still is. But Maresca's come in and we're all just hoping, you know what? Hopefully, this guy just has something good for us. And I can speak for a lot of people. I think he's kind of exceeded our expectations, if we're being completely honest, with the style of play, the being able to be relatable to. You listen to Maresca and you go, this is a manager that belongs here. Like this is somebody will ride out for the team. I think we had that with Tuchel as well. Tuchel, when he came in, we just fell in love with the guy. Like it didn't even matter what Tuchel did because he spoke it, he walked the walk, he talked the talk, and when it came to game time, it was go. Tuchel had the minerals, and Maresca right now is looking like he has the minerals as well. And I've been very impressed. I think that, it could get better, right? Defensively, we could definitely get better. The shape could be a lot better. We can concede, less goals. But you look at other teams that have conceded goals as we have. Man City, how many goals have Man City conceded more than us? Man City have probably conceded, what, 2 goals less than we have. Arsenal, one of the best defensive teams, has conceded 1 goal less than we have. Liverpool have conceded about, what, 6, 7 goals less than we have. But when you have players like Van Dijk and Konate, I'm sorry, you're going to be defensively astute. I've always said with this Chelsea team, if our defenders, honestly, if we had not even Saliba, Gabriel, if you gave me Van de Ven and let me just think of like another random guy. You gave me Van de Ven and who else? Because Romero is a bozo, so I don't want Romero. Um, I'm trying to think. It doesn't even have to be anyone too crazy. But let me see, Van de Ven, who? Yo, you give me Van der Ven and Konate. Let's just go with Van der Ven and Konate. I think our defense is still going to be stronger than what we have now. Maybe we concede 3 less goals, but that's still better. 3 less goals means what? A clean sheet somewhere, a 3 points somewhere, 2 extra points somewhere, and you're going up the table. So that's my only thing is I do want to see the improvement to this team, but the constant in that situation is Robert Sanchez. Sanchez is Sanchez destabilizes everything we do. Sanchez is like, how do I explain it? It's like putting an egg under a book. That shit is gonna crush. Like my analogy doesn't make sense, but that's how bad this guy is. Like he just sends so much fear. I don't know, bro. It's just Sanchez should not be in this team. I think run it with Jorgensen. Let's see what he got. Because every time last season when Petrovic played for us, I could just tell like, yo, we're going to be a bit solid today. We're not going to concede certain stupid goals. Like Jorgensen, if he's too unsure, he booms that shit out of there. What does Sanchez do? he passes it straight to the opposition, and we're on the back foot again. You want your goalkeeper to be able to alleviate all of this. I know you're a good shot stopper when you have to be, but if every time we have the ball and then for you to help us escape that pressure, you give it back to your position, then bro, what are we doing? We're gonna be right under pressure again, and we're back to square one. And that's just the reality. And I don't think this guy is good enough to be our goalkeeper. Hell, we don't know much about Jorgensen, so trust him. Like Maresca has said, and even not even just how what he said, it's about how he's been able to move. He looks like someone where if you're in good form, if you come in and you're on job, he gives you a chance, like Neto did over the weekend. So give him, give Jorgensen an opportunity and let's see how he performs. I think the defense will be a bit more calmer because you're playing against Panathinaikos and your defenders are Badia Chile, the Crimson Twins, Badia Chile, Desasi, and Vega. And the only goal we conceded was from like really, I'll say like a lapse of concentration for the most part. But that defense was assured. Like you're watching the game, you're chilling. You're just like, all right, you guys go ahead. Just ball out. Do what you got to do. Because it just feels safe and it's just relaxed. When your defenders are relaxed, bro, I think you just be more expressive. But when your defenders have to always worry about shit, defended, yo, I gotta be a bit closer because Sanchez might fuck it up a bit. You're making everybody uneasy, bro. But that would be like my only gripe, my only concern with Maresca. But I think, yo, this guy is doing a phenomenal job. You compare it to like even an Ange right now. Look how much Spurs are struggling, and it looks like they don't have a plan B like all that dynamism, Spurs being dynamic when Ange first came in, they just looked like, yo, they'll get 3 points. They play that high tempo, stupid high line, but it looked like it was new. So it just looked like Spurs had the answers to a lot of the problems. But now they're burning out, and Maresca looks like he has plan A, B, C, potentially D. Because I don't know how many people woke up on Saturday and said Reece James is going to be a left back today. We don't see that against Panathinaikos. He went with that 3-3-4 formation. Played Vega as a left center back. Typically, you might go, Cucurella as a left center back, Vega inverted, but you got Cucurella playing like a freaking 8 and a good one at that. You got Vega cooking on the left side of defense, and you got Badia Chile with his hands on his hips, just inviting pressure to just play through them. And that's another thing I got to commend him for. It looks like, Poch, when he first came in, we said this guy's man management is good, right? We said, yo, you know what, this guy can manage players and harness these relationships and make people feel good. And when people feel good, they tend to perform better, all that good jazz. But you look at last season, only a few people really excelled. Cole Palmer excelled for the most part because I mean Cole Palmer is just Cole Palmer. Like the guy could be really playing in this United team and probably will still be the best player or one of the best in the Premier League. So Cole Palmer, excelled. Jackson excelled to a great extent. Who else? Shit, maybe Thiago Silva, but Silva is Silva. So that was really it. We didn't really see this team put together and pick up to like match day 35 or match day 34. Bro, what the fuck are we gonna do with that? You wait till like 35 games into the season before you decide, yo, I'm gonna try something different. Nah, you see Maresca, he's come in and you see improvements gradually. Like Mudrik right now, he was one who we all thought, yeah, this guy's future over here is done. Like this guy's gonna get sold ASAP. But weeks in now, we're thinking, yo, this guy might actually have a bit of, a second win to him. Now he's playing with, I think he's playing with more focus. I think he's playing with more confidence. He's not rushing. And that was one of the biggest things we always saw in Mudrik. It felt like he was rushing his decisions. But now everything is being done very calculated. Like everything he's doing, it's calm. It's what's my next move before he does it. And I just have to say it's good man management. Like you look at Badia Chile, threw him in against Liverpool, which by the way, not all of us would have been expecting him to do that. Liverpool were under the cush. You throw in Badia Chile. What does he come in? He comes in, bodies Nunez, and then it's like something just clicked for him. And then he's just kept them moving, and you look at this team and you go, who's really been playing badly this season? And it'll all come down to one person, Robert Sanchez. Like, I know Fafana is not everybody's biggest cup of tea, but I think people overrate his ability now, because I think for this guy to be just out for years, okay, a whole season, going on to for him to come in, you always knew Fafana coming in was not going to be the Fafana from Leicester. Fafana was going to struggle a bit, but it was just going to be consistency, rotation, keeping him fit, um, managing his fitness, and then you kind of see Fafana maybe a lot better next season than the season after that. Not right now, but you look at this team and everybody is basically stepping it up. Casaday will come into this team and he's stepping it up. Dewsbury Hall, now he's looked like he's found, that second wind again. He's found his place, he's found his role. He understands the team better, and it's all down to how this guy just manages the squad, and how he interacts with these guys. Everybody's coming up with some sort of a goal contribution in games, and it's looking like we're not a Cole Palmer, just Cole Palmer doesn't play in a certain game. You know what? Palmer's not playing. I can bring Nkunku into the 10. You don't want to bring in Nkunku into the 10? Hell, you can bring in Felix into the 10. You don't want to play Felix in the 10? We think Chukwuemeka could play a role up there. You don't want to do that? Okay. The less likely option, you play Enzo further up. We don't like it, but it's an option. You know what I mean? But it's just finding solutions in this team, and everybody's being competitive. Like, nobody's sleeping. Everybody knows, I want to play. The only way you play is what? You're impressive. And when he first came in, we watched the preseason videos and we watched the training videos, and we were starving because, bro, it's been a minute since we saw that. But from then, when this guy came in till now, we look like we look like a team. It's not a bunch of individuals no more. Someone is not carrying the team, is having an off day, no problem. Somebody else will come in and chip in. All these guys are chipping in with goals, assist, you know, just being dangerous. And that's really all we can ask for. And we really have no right. We genuinely don't, because you look at all these other teams above us, your cities, Liverpool, Arsenal's, even Villas. All these guys have consistency. They have well, apart from Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, and Villa have consistency. Their coaches have been there at least 2 seasons, so these guys have the opportunity to really coexist and know how to play and just get everything nice and tight. Liverpool, bro, they have the same fucking team, and they have a good team at that. They have a good spine, a strong spine, and it's just they're going to be good regardless. Slot, we didn't give him a chance. I, for one, I'm not gonna hold you. I said when Klopp was leaving, I said I feel like Liverpool are gonna struggle, only because, see, Klopp, he had this thing about him where it was his ability to turn certain situations around. He had the personality in the media. Klopp was loved, whether you like it or not. And it's just his mannerisms on the touchline and his interaction with referees. Like, you're going to respect them regardless, and that only helps his team. So I was thinking, without Klopp being here, I don't know what Slot is going to do. I feel like they're going to struggle. Shit, he's turned it around and is giving Liverpool one of the best starts in their history. So it's just, when you have a coach that comes in, it's just, things can just evolve like that. Once you have the pieces to put together, bro. That guy's cooking, and he's turned out to be a better a Baldy from the Dutch league than the one who just got fired today. So it's just, that's just the reality. I'm impressed with where we're at, and I look forward to what we're gonna do this season. We have a game on Wednesday. I'm gonna do that preview for that game as well. So definitely stay locked in, stay tuned in for that. I'm gonna do my predicted lineup. I think tomorrow we'll probably hear from Maresca, who, injury situations. Twitter hasn't gone crazy about none of that. So, we should probably be in good hands. And knock on wood, whatever we've been doing, it's working fitness wise, and just in terms of squad rotation, and I'll do my preview more in depth about the Newcastle game, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit nervous only because I think they're not going to rotate a lot. That Newcastle team, whether they've been having a poor season or not, I don't think they're gonna rotate. So that kind of gives me a bit of anxiety because I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go with a team B. They're gonna come up. It's away from home. Like if it was at home, okay, I could be a bit more confident. Away from home with the team B, a little nervous, but I still think we could go and win. But Newcastle's really not a place we usually go and just be slapping them up. And they're going to probably start their strong team because if they don't, then it's fair and square. But I expect them to start, your Gamares and your Joe Lintons and maybe Isak wouldn't be able to play 2 games in a week or 2 games in a couple of days, but they might still play Isak. Who knows? Gordon might be back and available for that game. And if Gordon is playing against Desasi, God help us all. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. It'll be an interesting battle. Who knows? Maybe Gusto will play ahead of Desasi, but I'll touch on all of that in the video tomorrow for the match prediction. But this has been the weekend roundup. It's been good. It's been a while since I've been on live and on one of these, to be honest, because it's just finding the time has been hard. But it's good to be back into it. And unfortunately, we didn't end the season in the top four, but top five, we'll take it. And then tomorrow we'll see what the team news is going to be looking like, and then you get your preview. But guys, as always, like the video, sub to the channel, interact with the content, hop in the comments, let me know what you think, how you feel, and who do you think United are going to get? That's the most important thing. I know Amarin's name has been there, but imagine they get someone like a Graham Porter, or they get what's his name, Southgate. Oh man, a brother can dream. It's just you just know this manager bounce is just going to boost their morale, and that's not what we wanted. We wanted to go get our licks in, and then they can decide whatever they want to do. But of course, Ineos and them people over there have decided, you know what, they're going to just stop the fun now. They're like, you know what, guys, you've had your fun. Now we mean business. And it's just unfortunate they had to do it when we were in town, but it is what it is. But guys, appreciate the support all the time. Thanks for checking out the content. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.